I really get this sense that the current epoch which we find ourselves in is on the cusp of addressing social injustice in a meaningful way. And in that, better understanding the roles that institutions and systems play in perpetuating injustice. And with all these movements and changes underway, I think there's a great deal to be inspired by and hopeful of. And yet at the same time, I think there's so much work that needs to be done still. And I believe each human being has the responsibility to remain vigilant and informed, even and especially when these conversations and these issues are uncomfortable and when they're challenging. My name is Anneke Dresselhuis, and this series is titled In the Numbers. I am a student of visual arts, economics, and business management at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, located on the unceded territory of the Musqueam First Nations. And I'm really interested in intersectional and interdisciplinary approaches to thinking, and have recently completed a series of drawings titled In the Numbers, which explores the complex overlapping and blurred boundaries between quantitative data and storytelling, trauma and healing, and body and space that relate to the systemic issue of sexual violence. Sexual and gender-based violence is incredibly pervasive in culture. This kind of violence shows up in our close relationships, in our workplaces, in our communities. This kind of violence inflicts trauma, it inflicts shame, and so many other types of complicated harm that I think we're still realizing and will continue to realize as this issue gains traction in the various social, political, and economic spaces it is entwined in. It is my hope that this series will inspire authentic conversation about sexual violence and the damaging ramifications it has brought and continues to bring in our communities. For me, my art practice is about investigation. It's about curiosity and ultimately storytelling. In the Numbers is inspired by personal and collective experiences with sexual violence. I employ a lot of emblematic references to data and grids in my work because I think they are the language and currency of our age. We have engineered a society that loves information. And while I recognize that quantitative reasoning has brought about a lot of profound good in the world, I also think that it's important to shed light on the limits of quantitative reasoning, which is rooted in scientific epistemology. This project was initially inspired by a research inquiry that I started about sexual violence data that has been issued by UBC, and my skepticism about the validity of that data. Firstly, because I had never realized that sexual violence was so prevalent in the communities that I find myself in. And secondly, because I also at the same time know that so many occurrences of sexual violence are not institutionally reported. This series, In the Numbers, challenges what I refer to as the assumption of science that largely prioritizes the assignment of numerical value rather than human value in responding to stories of people who have experienced sexualized harm. In a world of information, it's widely understood that data are nothing without context. And in my artwork, I offer that human experience is among the most important contexts through which to reason with information. And in the context of sexual violence specifically, I believe that the systems we use to assign value to people need to be driven by a deep appreciation and respect for humanity. And I think it's so exciting that this is all something that we are invited to participate in together. I think we are all capable of participating in this, in addressing this issue, and this is something that we all need to address together if we are ever to see healing and reconciliation in our relationships, workplaces, and communities.